Hey guys, welcome. I'm glad you're all joining us today. I don't know what the weather is like where you are, but here in Florida it has been quite rainy and wet. Not so much fun. So tonight we're going to work on eggplant parmesan, and I'm gonna veganize it or make it plant-based, I guess you could say. Partly because I have some diets that I'm making for hot lunch tomorrow that are vegan, and partly because a lot of the people in my life are being recommended to start plant-based diets. So my father-in-law, you guys met him a couple weeks ago, my Steelers fan father-in-law, he was suggested to start a plant-based diet. Now, he's not always listening to that suggestion, but it's all good, we still love him. But I just thought that eggplant parmesan can usually be really rich and calorie laden, and trust me, those are all amazing things. I love those things. But if you are looking for something really kind of comforting and yummy, but also lightened up a little bit, this is a great way to do it. So I've got my eggplants here, and I have sprinkled them with salt. I've got them on a sheet tray with 2 layers of paper towel. So they've been sitting for about 10 minutes with the salt on them. So in another couple of minutes, I'm gonna place a second paper towel over the top, or 2 more paper towels over the top, I'm sorry, and then I'm gonna put another sheet tray over them and a weighted object. So that way we can really draw out the moisture of the eggplant. Soggy eggplant parm, no bueno. But while we're waiting for that to do that, I'm gonna get set up. So you can see I've got my breading station here. I've got my breadcrumbs. I went ahead and I used panko breadcrumbs. I like them, they're a little bit crunchier, they have a little bit more texture. The only issue I found with panko is that they do have a tendency to not adhere as well. So, but if you like the regular traditional breadcrumbs, go ahead and use those. But I'm using panko. I had them in my pantry, and I always tell you guys to shop in your pantry. I'm using the panko because that's what I had on hand, and it's my preferred method or my preferred breadcrumb. And then to keep this plant-based, I have my almond milk in here. So I put my almond milk in this bowl, and then in here I have my plain all-purpose flour, but I've got my spice mix right here, which is Italian seasoning, black pepper, and salt. So we are going to just kind of work on that. But before we do anything, you come here.
What am I doing?
Come here.
But I gotta like moderate
I know.
stuff.
But look who's back.
Hi
He's
guys,
home.
finally home. It's
So-
been 2.5 weeks on the road.
I know.
And got another long trip coming up here. So we'll have another big blog post coming up hopefully sometime soon. I think we're going to Milwaukee, right?
We're going to Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yep.
And then what else? Probably gets to watch me eat a bratwurst and Bridget cry a little bit. And then aside from that, yeah, get out of the house without all the crazy cats for a bit.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
So, but he's home, so yay! So things are back to normal in our world, kind of.
For a couple days.
Kind of. So while I'm working on my eggplant and dehydrating it a little, I am going to just kind of whisk my flour and seasoning mix together with a fork. You can use a whisk if you want to. This is just easier for me. And then it gives you that Italian flavoring. And you can buy those breadcrumbs that are Italian flavored breadcrumbs if you like those better. But this is just a simple way of getting that Italian flavoring. So I have had just a crazy week this week. While Andy was gone, I went ahead and I did an 11-hour shift on Monday at Big Cat. So I did 11 volunteer hours on Monday. And then Tuesday, we have a presentation series that we do at Big Cat Rescue for our volunteers, interns, and staff. And the presentation was on our operator conditioning program. I've been doing all of the catering and cooking for those presentations. So Tuesday I spent all day in the kitchen making various shepherd's pies. And then Wednesday I did another 11-hour shift at Big Cat. So I put in 11 more volunteer hours. And yesterday I finally cleaned our kitchen, which sort of looked like it had exploded, and there were pots and pans and vegetables and all sorts of debris everywhere. It was kind of crazy. So I finally got a chance to clean the kitchen and settle in and get some shopping done and that kind of thing. So, but today I've been working on, I don't know if you guys saw, I've been working on peaches. I made a peach gazpacho for lunch for us, and it was quite tasty. Gazpacho being a cold soup, and I'm working on peach hand pies for dessert for hot lunch.
Yay!
So I made 2 pie crusts. I made a gluten-free pie crust. I'm going to test out a gluten-free pie crust today. I'm excited about it, but not sure. So Mr. Sardone can partake in the hand pies. We will see. And that's sort of been my day. It's been my week, really. Can't believe it's Friday already. Holy fish sticks. So, all right, my eggplant has been sitting for 15 minutes with salt. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my sheet tray and my extra paper towels. All right. So this is really going to help me draw out the moisture. And again, soggy eggplant Parmesan is not something that is enjoyable. So I'm just gonna really kind of try to get the moisture out. This is a clean pan, even though it looks dirty, it's just been well loved. And then I'm gonna take my cast iron skillet and just go ahead and really kind of flatten that down. You'll see my peaches over here. These are my need to use peaches like pronto. So I'm sure those will have some breakfast happening in them with them. Not sure what I'm gonna do for breakfast tomorrow morning. We're both going to Big Cat Rescue again tomorrow. So it's gonna be a busy day.
Whew. So what's going on at Big Cat right now? Anything crazy?
So yesterday was cat moving day because it was Thursday, and we're closed to the public on Thursdays. So we went ahead and we moved cats. So we took Priya, who was on vacation for a couple weeks actually. She had sort of an extended vacation. So we took her off vacation and put her in her home enclosure and moved Kali onto vacation. And then we opened up the tunnel system so Priya has access to both her enclosure and Kali's enclosure. So she's still confined, but she can explore, which I'm sure she will love. And Kali will be super salty when she gets home because her enclosure will smell like another tiger. We brought Hutch home from Funcation, which is our smaller cat vacation area, and then Ginger Serval, she went on Funcation, so she'll be on for 2 weeks. But let's see.
Well, we already have a question from Wendy, and she wants to know, I miss what you are using instead of eggs to bind the breadcrumbs.
Oh yeah, I'm just using almond milk, just unflavored, unsweetened almond milk. So instead of egg, I'm using the almond milk. I did not clarify that, so that's probably why she missed it, because I didn't actually specify.
As long as it's on the recipe list, they did it, right?
Yeah, it's on chickenandnugget.com, so you guys can subscribe, and it will send you the recipe. It's just your first name and your email address. That keeps you guys up to date on the recipes we send out, any blog posts that we make, but also it'll let them know when we're going live again, right? Is that also part of the subscription, or just blog posts and recipes?
I missed the question. I'm sorry.
I know you're working hard. If they subscribe, does that mean that they get blog posts recipes and notifications for live?
Yeah, get it all.
Oh, you get everything. Okay, perfect.
You get it all.
Okay, see, this is why I need my tech guy here. I'm so glad to have him home. We don't see each other most of the time during the week anyway, but it's usually long. It's harder when we've been apart for more than a week. You know, the weekend is a little tricky, but it's all good. So I've had this weighted for about 5 minutes now, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this back just right up here. Pull this up and off. Sorry guys, I know that was loud. So I think I've pulled a good amount of moisture out of my eggplants. All right. Ordinarily, I don't like to use this much paper towel, but we have compostable trash bags, so they will just decompose. I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my oven. And that's at 375. And I'm using the June again today because even though it's been rainy here at not at Big Cat Rescue.
Thankfully we don't have any big cats.
Even though it's been rainy here at our house, it's still pretty warm because, I mean, it's the middle of June and it's Florida. So while it preheats, I'm going to go ahead and get my breading started. So I'm just going to try to get this all set up here so that way it's easy for me to access. So other than the what did I use for egg instead of egg questions, do we have any other questions so far?
Not yet. It looks like everybody's just coming in.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. We're working on a plant-based eggplant parmesan, and right now I am just dredging my first piece of eggplant that I worked hard to get dehydrated. I've got my flour, and I like to use opposite hands. It doesn't always work well for me, but sometimes I like to try at least. So I use one dry hand and one wet hand. So I've got this here, and now I'm going to use my wet hand and I'm going to rotate. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop my eggplant down into my breadcrumbs. Ah, see, son of a nutcracker, I've already switched. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and very carefully, I'm going to bread my eggplant. Now again, I am using panko breadcrumbs because that is what I had in my pantry. And I always like to remind you guys to shop in your pantry. But I also prefer a panko breading. I just like the crunchy texture. All right, so I've gently pressed my panko breadcrumbs onto my eggplant. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on my baking sheet. All right. Dry hand, wet hand. Don't let me forget. So, all right, dredge in your flour. And my flour is seasoned with Italian seasoning, salt, and freshly cracked black pepper. All right. I'm going into my almond milk, and I'm going to switch hands. Boom. Fluff up my breadcrumbs here. And into the breadcrumbs. Drop that in. And I like to sprinkle breadcrumbs over the top. And then kind of gently press them in so that way it all kind of adheres. Yeah.
Hey, what brand of panko are you using? Beth Smith's watching. She had a question.
Hey,
And,
Bethany.
She said, having trouble finding panko that doesn't have powdered milk in it.
I am using the 365 brand. Yeah. Sorry, I just went to go check my ingredients. I'm using the 365 brand from Whole Foods. It says it may contain milk and soy, but it could just be that it's processed in the same place. But it doesn't say anything about that in the ingredients. So that's what I'm using. So if you're a vegetarian, any panko breadcrumbs can work for you. If you are a vegan or a full plant-based diet, you have to be kind of checking on the labels. So I hope that helps, Bethany. All right, so again, I'm just dredging in my flour, and then take the kids for a swim in my almond milk. And again, you want to make sure that you're using unflavored, unsweetened almond milk, because even if you get an unsweetened almond milk and it's vanilla, oh, that's yeesh. That's probably not going to taste quite so good. I mean, you never know, it could be okay, but that vanilla flavoring is pretty prominent. All right, so there's another one. I really only have 5 vegan meals that I need to make the eggplant parm. So I'm gonna do 6, even though I dehydrated or pulled the water out of 8. I think probably only 6 will fit on this sheet tray. But go ahead and get this. Just kind of keep fluffing my flour. I know that sounds weird, but when you press down, it flattens it out a little bit. And you just want to make it so that it's working for you. So I've already roasted my broccoli, which is going to be my side dish for the eggplant, or for the Parmesan, for the eggplant Parmesan. And then I fully intend on preparing pasta, except for Andy. I got him those zucchini noodles.
Those are good.
I will saute them with some garlic and olive oil and salt and pepper.
Those things are awesome.
They are pretty tasty. But since he doesn't eat gluten, he can't eat gluten, I wanted to make sure that he also got some yummy stuff. So I'm going to do some pasta, and then I'm going to put my eggplant parm over my pasta, and then I'm going to top it. Oh, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to do pasta and some red sauce that I bought at the grocery store. I just bought a jar of red sauce. I made sure that it didn't have any dairy in it. So I bought a jar of red sauce. I'm going to do the pasta, and I'm going to do red sauce, and then I'm going to put down a piece of eggplant parm, and then a little bit more red sauce in the morning. I'm going to do that tomorrow morning before we go, so that way we don't have soggy eggplant parm. Because the whole purpose of salting these bad boys and pressing them down was to prevent that. So I'll do a little bit more red sauce tomorrow morning, right before we head out, and some vegan cheese. That Violife cheese is really rocking my world right now, and some fresh basil, and that'll be lunch tomorrow. So, oh, and I forgot the peach ham pies, which I'm super excited about, because I made my filling for the peach ham pies a couple hours ago. It has to kind of sit and kind of sit and cool and thicken up a little. That makes it easier to work with. So I'm excited about all of that. So that's gonna be glorious. And speaking of glorious, it made me think of that Gloria song, which brought me over to hockey. So congratulations to all the St. Louis Blues hockey fans. Your team won the Stanley Cup. I'm sorry if I spoiled it for you, but if you haven't heard about it by now, then I can't help you, because I'm pretty sure it was Monday that it was going down. So, no, Wednesday. Wednesday was the Stanley Cup final. The final game of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So, congratulations to the St. Louis Blues fans, and also any Toronto Raptors fans. Congratulations to you guys and your team. You guys all took the NBA Finals. I'm not going to lie, I had mixed feelings about it because your Toronto Raptors beat my Milwaukee Bucks to make it to the finals, and I wasn't sure how I felt about that, but, you know, sometimes I like the underdog. I'm glad to see that y'all had a team that made it and won the finals, and so...
What is this sport you speak of?
I know. We've been watching a lot of the World Cup here at our house because the Women's World Cup is on currently, and Andy is not only a big soccer fan, but he actually used to play lots and lots and lots of soccer when he was younger, and then started a pickup league here in our hometown. So he's actually really a big soccer fan. So we've been watching a lot of the World Cup. And Nico, I know you guys, for those of you who know Nico, he is also a huge soccer fan. So it's been a big thing here at our house. We've been watching a lot of World Cup and keeping up on all the stats and that kind of thing. So I have the electronic lady. Her name starts with an A. I'm not going to say it because she'll turn on. But I have her keep me updated on stats and scores in the mornings when I'm getting ready from whatever the day brings.
You say that's Alexa?
And now she's listening. All right, so my oven is preheated. My June, yay, the June, is preheated. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in for 15 minutes. And then at the 15-minute mark, I'm gonna flip them for another 5 minutes until they're beautiful and golden brown. So I'm going to go ahead and set a timer here on my watch. All right. I'm just going to rinse my hands off. I'll be right back. So does anybody have any questions? I think what I might do is actually, since we've got the time, I might go ahead and start prepping hand pies so they can kind of see that. I won't bake them on camera, but I'll at least get them prepped because I think hand pies can be a little bit intimidating if you are not comfortable with pie making. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to prep the hand pies. I'm making peach hand pies.
Peach hand pies?
Mm-hmm.
Are we coming up with a recipe for this one and giving it to people? Or?
No, this is a recipe that I got out of a book. So it's from the Peach Truck. So I'm using their recipe.
It's from the Peach Truck.
It's from the Peach Truck, where I bought... The Peach Truck is a company from the Tennessee, Georgia area, and they have beautiful, amazing peaches. And you can order them online, but they did... like a tour. They had a truck tour. I'll be right back. And they actually came they were local. So I went and I bought an entire, I'll grab the box so you guys can see, I'll be right back. But I bought a huge box of peaches.
They're from Nashville?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh dear. You alright?
Yep, I'm okay. It was just the box. So I'll show you guys this box of peaches that I bought. It's huge. So here's the box, and you can see there's the peach truck. So I went through earlier, sorry, and I sorted out all of the peaches that were ripe and ready, and some of them that were a little overripe, and I've started working with those. But these are my peaches that still need a little bit of time to ripen, so I'm keeping them out until probably tomorrow when they'll go into the fridge. And then Sunday, I think I'm going to freeze some of them. I'm going to turn some into fruit leather because, like Andy said, we have another big trip coming up. And road trip snacks are always amazing, especially when they're homemade. Yeah, especially when they're homemade. So I think I might make some peach fruit leather, but then I also think I'm going to just dehydrate some peaches because this guy right here really, really loves dried mango. So I think instead of getting dried mango, I might just make some dried peaches and see how he does with those. So,
Tammy, do you mean prepare frozen eggplant parm or hand pies?
what do you mean?
Oh, Tammy just asked a question and I figured it'd be easier just to ask because you're moving around.
What prepared frozen what?
Uh-huh.
Nothing's coming from frozen?
She's just asked, can you make this? So I wanted to know what this was. This or that? It's all good. Don't worry about it.
I don't understand the question.
Move on.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
and,
I'm confused.
Wendy wants to know if we could do fruit leather live.
Oh, that might be a good idea. It takes forever. I'll be right back.
All right, so Bridge will be right back. Don't see any reason why we couldn't do that.
So fruit leather takes a good long while to make.
Parm.
What
Can
about?
you make it the day before, freeze it, will it get soggy?
Oh, I don't know. I would say maybe if you're making it just the day before, you don't need to freeze it. You can just keep it in the refrigerator, but keep it like separate. So don't put other things with it. So now that I think about that, what I'll probably do is just keep these all separate and then assemble my lunches tomorrow morning. I haven't frozen this before, so I don't know. It's possible. I would think that maybe, I would say use a finer breadcrumb. Like maybe try it without the panko, use a finer breadcrumb for that. And that will probably get you a better result. If you're gonna freeze it, then what I would do is I would freeze it, but I would take one of these sheet trays and put wax paper down. And then once you're done baking, I would take your cooled, you want to make sure that it's cooled, room temperature eggplant slices, put them on a sheet tray that's got the wax paper down, and then stick that in the freezer uncovered. Then once they're frozen, go ahead and pull out your sheet tray. Make sure you're using mitts or some kind of protection because freezing metal on your fingertips is very painful. And then put them in a container, like an airtight container. Make sure, because this way they'll freeze individually, they won't get stuck together, but also they'll freeze and you won't get any moisture buildup, which can really be sort of the downfall of any breaded item is the moisture. So, okay, how are we doing here? We've got a little bit of time. I'm going to go ahead and just get started on hand pies if you guys are interested. Do we have a vote for hand pies, or are people mostly just wanting eggplant parm?
Let me see here. And everything. Oh, nope, we're good. No, there's a bit of a debate going on what happens to eggplant parm when you freeze it, but
okay.
Yeah, let's get into those hand pies.
Okay, yeah. Some people that may have frozen it may know better than I do. I've not ever frozen it before, So I can't give you that information because I haven't really experimented with it. So, all right, let me just, oh, here, perfect.
Where's your phone?
I don't know where my phone is.
I'll find it.
Do you need it? I think it's on the couch. All right. So we'll see how my pie crust does because it really needs a cool, it's been sitting in the fridge for about an hour now, so. All right. Alright, so I went ahead and I made homemade pie crust, and that's just the way I do things because it works out really well for me. I like my homemade pie crust recipe. It was my grandmother's. It's just one of the things that makes me feel close to her. She passed away in 2001, and so every time I use her recipe and also her pastry cloth, I just feel closer to her. And I think that's one of the ways that we keep legacy going is through food, especially if we know someone who was a cook or a baker. We're able to kind of remember them and keep them alive through memory with like food.
So while you're doing this, Wendy asked, what made you become vegan?
I became vegan simply because my body stopped being able to process meat. So at first I was just a vegetarian. And then I actually sprained my foot at Big Cat Rescue. It was really not fun. I stepped wrong and it was not a good thing. And dairy can actually cause a lot of inflammation in... Sweetie, can you take care of that, please?
Come on.
Thank you. Dairy can cause a lot of inflammation in people's bodies. It, depends on how your body reacts. So I just cut out dairy to help with the inflammation. And when I went back to it, I got sick. So I quit dairy and I kept eggs because we ate a lot of eggs. And then I just kind of didn't buy another dozen eggs. And that was sort of it. So that just kind of became my lifestyle. I would eat meat and I would not feel well. Like I would feel like I was going to lose my lunch, so to speak. And just kind of didn't want to feel that way anymore. So just stopped eating meat. And it sort of just went from there. It was a transitional phase. But it works for me. And Andy is free to choose whatever he wants to choose. He can do the vegan diet, he can do the omnivore diet, whatever makes him happy.
If it's in front of me, I eat it.
He really is a good eater. He really, really is. So I'm just rolling my pie dough kind of thin. Alright, and I'm just going to kind of peel it back from my pastry cloth, just so that way I know it's not stuck. I'm just going to roll this over. There we go. Oops. Come on now. Hello! I don't know if you guys heard, but that was Marble. She's our oldest lady. She was talking.
Barbs. Where's she at?
She's right here by me.
Hey. Come here. Oh.
She was climbing around the last week or the week before. She likes to go up in our catification, but she was just talking to me a second ago. So she's our oldest lady. She's 15.
Yeah. Oh, somebody's in your hiding spot. That's why.
All right, so I'm going to start with those 3 and see how this goes, because, oh, this looks lovely. I want to make these bigger.
If I was eating them, I would prefer bigger. Yes, absolutely.
All right, well, I'll use these 3 for something else. But I don't have a bigger ring cutter, so I'm going to have to find something.
I might have some, like, piping band clamps in the garage.
I do not want to use band clamps from the garage, thank you. I appreciate the offer,
they
though.
just came off the truck.
Sure. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, let's try these. I think this will work. This is a little bit better. So do we have any questions or anything?
Who's in the cat condo tonight? That was Eva.
I was gonna say, I think it's Eva.
Yeah, that's Eva. Yeah, we have only a few cats here.
How's that?
No foster failures in this house.
Right. I'm gonna grab a plate. Alright. That looks better. Alright, you guys, I actually have to run out to the refrigerator in the garage and grab the peach pie filling. So I'm gonna do that. I'll be right back. And then if you have questions, I will be happy to answer them. So, sit tight. Andy will entertain you.
Well, I don't have much to entertain on. All I know is that if I made these, they would not look great at all. Grady, you are back quick.
Yes.
I was going to start doing like a Wayne's World, like, hey guys.
Oh.
Alright.
Alright, let me go ahead and wash my hands real quick.
Cool.
Alright. I think it's Laura Branigan that did that Gloria song from the 80s. It was rad, and I have that song stuck in my head now. My dad has that song on the jukebox in my childhood home basement, and it was my jam back in the day. All right, so just flipping my eggplant. I don't want to get my hot pan too close to my pie crust, because you want your pie crust to be nice and cold. So I'm just flipping. I think this might need 10 minutes as opposed to 5, so I'm going to stick it in for 10 minutes. Alrighty. So we'll keep an eye on that. But here is that beautiful peach pie filling. Can you guys see that okay?
I don't know, I got like a 30-second delay.
Oh, okay.
So, sure.
If not, let me know.
Hey, Tanya's watching.
Hi, Tanya!
From,
Wow, geez, she's like, I don't know how late it is there. How late is it in South
Where'd she
Africa?
go, like Siberia?
South Africa.
South Africa?
Siberia.
That's in Western Australia, right?
Oh, you're so smart. All right. So I'm just gonna take a tablespoon of my filling, and I'm gonna put it kind of in the middle. Now you don't want to overstuff your pie. And just like our calzones last week, you really don't want to overstuff them. But I am going to put just a tiny bit more in because I do love pie filling. So, just like our calzones, again, last week, you're going to need some water. And I'm kind of am I out of camera here, or?
No, you're good.
Okay. So you're going to want some water to make like your glue. And you just go all the way around.
Tanya said it's 11:40 there.
Okay, so not too late.
Her time zones are super screwed up right now, probably.
Oh yeah, I bet you still got jet lag. Alright, so I'm just gonna fold over and press. Aw, shoot, I've got some coming out the sides. Shoot. Oh, thanks. Alright, press these together, and then, just like I did last week, I'm going to take my fork, and I'm just going to crimp this together. There we go. One hand pie done. I'm gonna get another plate, and maybe, can you guys see right here? Where I put my
Yes.
hand? Okay, I'm gonna put a plate there. All right, so I'm gonna put this here. And I'm going to take this lovely and beautiful hand pie, very carefully set that here. And I'm going to put those in the fridge for a little bit so they get nice and cold in just a minute. Alright, so seriously, just a tablespoon now. I need to listen to my instructions. Because these people are pros. They know what they're talking about.
Well, that one's bigger, so you can jam a lot more.
No, this is the same size.
Ah, gotcha.
It's the same size as that one.
Just trying to figure out which one I can steal tonight.
No, I will make you a gluten-free one.
Let's see. Wendy asked, are you going to vent the pies?
I am, but first I'm going to get them cold because it's a little bit warm in our house right now with all the lights on and the oven going, and so I'm going to put them back in the fridge first.
And then, let's see. Carol, your messages are coming through. What is the dough made of?
The dough is made of flour, Crisco, and ice water.
Is Crisco vegan?
It is. Crisco is vegan.
Crisco, alright.
It's what my grandmother used, it's what my mom uses, and it is what I use.
You know, I really did enjoy those times when you made things with lard. That was something. I understand now why you don't, but, you know.
It's like that line from The Big Bang Theory when she's made the peach cobbler and Penny's eating it and she's like, this is delicious. It was Sheldon's mom, and Sheldon's mom goes, you want to know my secret ingredient? And Penny goes, love, and she goes, lard. I always think about that every time. I don't know why. Mostly because I'm weird. Now I'm only going to do this one more time because otherwise I will overwork my dough and my pastry will become kind of tough. So I don't want to do that, but I have all of this extra pastry dough and I want to use it. Because let's be honest, hand pies are delicious.
Tanya, just like most things, wants to make them colorful. What would happen if you put food coloring in the dough? Would that be okay?
You would have to cut back a little bit on your water when you make your pie crust. So if you're using a food coloring, you will have to make that use a little bit less water. Otherwise, it'll be too wet and your dough will be too sticky and it won't work.
Did you add time to the jus?
Yeah, I did 10 minutes.
Oh.
I did 10 minutes instead of 5 because it wasn't golden brown enough for me.
Alright, yeah, that time was moving really slowly.
Which I said that out loud. Were you not listening?
I listen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
My mother says it's selective.
Your mother is right.
It's genetic, so I just roll with it.
Yeah, no, I based on the interactions between your mom and dad that I experienced over the weekend, the last weekend we were there, that makes sense, yeah. Yeah, I noticed your dad was like, okay, dear, I was like, he's not listening. All right. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll just use the tines of my fork to puncture a couple of holes in the top. But I really do want to get these pies in the fridge. Get them cold and get them in the fridge so that way my dough doesn't start to cook. I really just want to eat this pie filling with a spoon.
Is that the stuff you gave me earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that stuff's great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah. Again, I got this recipe from the Peach Truck, and they fry these. I'm going to just bake them. Make them a little bit healthier because we've got, even though we burn through a lot of calories at Big Cat Rescue, it's always a good idea to just try to make things a little bit healthier if you can. Not that that always happens, because let's be honest. I've been known to eat a bag of chips for a snack and have a soda, and it is delicious. Girls, are you doing this again during my live? This is like the thing that they do now. The chicken and the nugget are playing in the bag together during the live.
Yep. Yeah, they are.
Oh, Delilah's playing with a twisty tie. I think from the new microphone. We got another new microphone.
Guys, come on.
Get your head in the game, as my friend Aaron said the other day. All right. Do we have any questions? Because I think once the eggplant parm is done, I'm probably gonna just say goodbye and take, and post a picture of the hand pies once they're done.
Let's see. Well, Wendy wants to know how many kitties we have. This is like a food show, but how many kitties you got?
All right. Who should be the one to tell? Do you want to be the one to tell them, or do you want me to?
No, you could.
We have 9 cats. Excuse me one moment. I just dropped that bomb, and now I'm going to turn away from you. Yep. Alright, so there is our eggplant parm. Yummy, crispy, golden brown. We'll set that to cool. So yeah, we have 9 cats. When I first started dating Andy, he made it abundantly clear that he didn't do cats. They weren't his thing. He only liked dogs. And he got this giant dog.
Okay, so who are these guys? We're getting some questions.
Okay, so this lady here is Delilah, also known as the chicken. And this lady here is Joy, aka the Nugget. Hi, ladies. What is happening?
I don't know. She's Delilah.
Well, baby girl, I can't hold you right now.
Go run away.
So Andy came home one day with this giant dog that he adopted. She was like a German Shepherd Great Dane mix. And we kept her. And then I was actually going to school full time and he was working full time. And we realized that it probably wasn't going to work out so well to have this giant dog in a 2-bedroom apartment, basically crated.
And she dragged you across the floor.
She did drag me across the floor by my pant legs. I had forgotten about that. That's like your favorite story.
I told that story the other day.
So we had family friends that lived way up in northern Wisconsin. They had about 5 acres of land. They worked out of their home. They had just lost their dog and were actually looking for another family friend. So we reached out to them and they came and picked her up. And, you know, she spent every day with them, you know, inside, outside, up there, upstairs, downstairs, the whole 9 yards. Like they worked out of their homes. So, or they worked out of their home. So it made it really easy. At which point I was like, okay, we're getting a cat. So we got Marble, our gray and white lady, the old lady that you met, and she loved Andy from the jump. Like, she was a daddy's girl from the jump. She loved him so much that she would lay on or sit on his chest at night while he was sleeping, and she would attack his eyelids when he had the rapid eye movement, the REM sleep. And he would wake up and he would have like bloodied eyelids and he would be screaming in pain. And it was all very amusing.
All right. Want to say hi?
Oh no, she doesn't.
What's going on here?
Hey lady.
This isn't a sponsored by Publix thing, okay?
Oh my gosh. Can you fix that please?
Yeah.
So he brought home, we got Marble and she would like bloody his eyelids and he would wake up screaming in pain. And I thought it was all very amusing because it didn't personally affect me. But we figured she needed a companion, a friend. So we went to the shelter and we adopted a second cat. And we thought we were good. It was all well and good. Andy will be back to answer questions in just a minute. So Andy had worked with a woman who bought a purebred Manx. She bought a Manx and her husband said, you know, you can't keep this cat. And she brought it into work and gave it to Andy because my mom and I fostered cats. And so she thought that we would be able to find a home for this kitten. Well, it was our home. Then we were like, okay, no big deal. We're done now. Fast forward another year, the same lady bought 2 cats because she figured her husband would tell her she'd have to get rid of one, which ended up being the case, and then presented us with yet again another cat. So our neighbor upstairs had just lost her cat, and so we brought home this little nugget and presented it to her, and she was not ready, so we kept him. And we were all good. We had 4 cats, we were living in Wisconsin, we'd gotten married, we moved to Florida, still 4 cats. And we bought our house at the end of 2011, and I would say in the spring of 2012 was probably the closest thing I've ever had to baby fever, and it was kitten fever, and I wanted a kitten and I wanted one now. So we went out and we adopted a kitten. And then we started fostering. And the last 4 were foster fails. All of them were foster kittens that we had failed to bring back. Delilah is especially, she's a super special adoption for us. We were fostering a litter of 7, and she was part of that litter. Her brother Junior had hydrocephalus, which is fluid around the brain. He was a sweet little ginger boy. I'm going to put these in the fridge. His name was Junior, and...
Real quick, the peach truck said it's awesome. You're making the recipe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I sent a message.
Thanks, Peach Truck. Woohoo! So we had Junior and his 6 siblings, and we were gonna keep Junior because he was a special needs kid, and we just, we knew that we would be able to provide him with a life that would work well for him. And all his siblings went back, and he stayed with us because he wasn't big enough. They didn't want him to go under anesthesia to get neutered right away. So we kept him, planning to get him neutered, after, he had hit like the 3-month mark. He was a little bit bigger. He might be able to handle the anesthesia, given the fluid around his brain. And I woke up one morning, and he had gone into a seizure. And he had been seizing and seizing and seizing, and we couldn't get it to stop. And they couldn't get it to stop. And we had to let him go. And
so here comes Delilah.
Still to this day, it's sad, but Delilah was the only one of that litter that still hadn't been adopted, and Andy went to go find her because we keep tabs on our foster kids when they go up for adoption. We're a little bit stalkery in that sense. She was the only one that hadn't been adopted, and so Andy went to go find her. She had been down on the bottom shelf in kind of a corner tucked away, and she had been laying there, and he walked into the cattery, and he looked at her, and he went, "Hey, Delilah." And she jumped up and like practically broke through the doors, and he picked her up, and she jumped onto his head. And it was then that we knew that, we would never let her go again. So part of Junior lives on with her, and he's my little colored in foster tattoo there. That's my little Junior paw, and then a couple of other fosters that we lost along the way. But yeah, Delilah, she's crazy. She makes me laugh every day. She drives me nuts sometimes, but I love her. So that's the cat story. And then Joy was a single foster who broke her foot, and again, foster fail. So, but we're glad. Her tortitude is perfect. It's a perfect match for our family. So anyway, do we have any last minute food related questions? Now that I've divulged our life story.
Everybody, I think, has their jaws dropped about the 9 million cats.
Yeah, well, we're cat people. It's okay. So, but, all right, so if you guys don't have any other questions about food, I think I'm just going to remind everybody to make the call of the wild. You text the word cats to 52886, and this helps us end the private ownership of exotic cats in the United States, as well as helps us end the terrible, terrible thing that is cub petting. Again, if you text the word cats to 52886, that will help you get connected to your congressperson. We are working with Congress to get the Big Cat Public Safety Act passed, which again is the end of private ownership of big cats, of exotic cats. There are more exotic cats living in people's backyards in the state of Florida and Texas than there are living in the wild.
Carol actually did come up with a question. For the hand pies, how long are you going to make these things?
What do you mean? How long am I baking them?
Yeah, how long are you going to bake them?
I am going to bake them for about 15 minutes. I'm going to test it out and see how it works. I'm going to do it in my June. I'm going to try it at 350 for about 15 minutes. And then we'll go from there. So, but you know, you can always follow the recipe from the peach truck and do a pan fry if you like. Frying makes a lot of mess and smell in my house, and as much as I do love fried pie, who doesn't? I'm just gonna slap them in the oven and bake them so that I can clean up around here too. So, any other questions?
No, just like the page, newsletter stuff.
Yeah, don't forget to like us and follow us on Facebook at Chicken and Nugget. You can also find us on chickenandnugget.com. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to comment on our page, comment on this video, send us a message. You can also email me, Bridget at chickenandnugget.com, and I will respond just as soon as I sit down from all the cooking. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, I hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks so much.